Welcome to another video. This one will be pretty cool. We are going to do some sand casting. We're going to cast a ring and then set a bezel on that ring and then set a stone on the ring. So let's get right into it because I don't want this video to be too long, but we're going to cast some silver into a sand casting mold. Hang on. Alright, so sand casting, you take something that you want to cast, and I was actually looking online for some molds that I might want to cast and looking at wax ones, and I figured out pretty quickly that you can get a stainless steel one for cheaper than you can buy a cast or a wax one. So I wanted this style of ring. On top of this, we're going to mount a bezel that we'll set after. There'll be reasons why I can't do it before. That requires some different equipment that I don't have right now. But we're going to set a bezel on it and probably cut a stone specifically for the bezel. But in the future, I want to actually cast the bezel in place, and I want to actually make the rings for some stones that I have. But this one being the first one, this one being the prototype, we're going to mount a bezel to it that we'll solder to it once we have the ring set in silver. We'll put a silver bezel on it. We'll then cut a stone that will fit the bezel and have the ring finished. So that's what we're going to do. We have our, let me make sure you got everything. I think you can see everything pretty much that's on the tray, right? So we've got our stand here. We've got our mold here. We're going to start right here by filling this with the clay, the sand. I'm just making sure I get a good compact. Oops. That was my finger I just whacked. Okay, now that we got a nice good face, we'll clean off this to give us a flat surface to work from. We'll clean off. Need to make sure that there's nothing in the way of this being able to go back together. These little grooves right here will be to make our air vents, to give the air someplace to go when the silver enters. We're going to pour through this hole right here, so we're going to put the ring in there. We're going to put it in there about right here. We want it in there about halfway, and we want it in there as straight up and down as we can get it. About right there, I think. Pack that in right there a little bit better. Go back and pack this around the mold a little bit again. This is definitely not a how-to video because I don't pretend to know how to. I'm just doing. Okay. I don't think we're quite in halfway. That should do it. Now we're going to take our cornstarch and we're going to dust it lightly with cornstarch to keep the two halves from sticking to each other. clearing off the mold so I can get a good fit when the other piece goes on. Okay, we've got it cornstarch to where it shouldn't stick on us. We'll put our other half on. These are notched and grooved so that they don't go in wrong. Start out with just a little bit so I can kind of pack it in there and make sure it gets a good fit around the ring. A little bit more. Clean that off. We can clear this stuff out of the way. Now we want to pull our two halves apart. Huh. The ring pulled into that side. Not a problem. So now we want a little funnel for our silver to run into, casting funnel. We want some air holes so that the air has a place to go. The neater I can make those, the less cleanup I have later. Now that's deformed the mold just a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can't carefully pull this out of this side. I'm going to place it back in this side carefully to try and clean up that mold where we disturbed it just a little bit. Again, we just want to tighten that up to minimize my cleanup later. Okay. Okay with that side. See if we can get this one out carefully. Okay, I think we have our air vents. We have the mold cleaned up to where it should seat properly. That looks clean. Okay, and we're going to line these two back up. Right there. Okay, see some. I think we're good. We'll put our mold back in here. Tighten it up. Now we're ready to heat some silver. So to get a rough idea of how much silver I need, this is stainless steel. And it is, let's see, it's, why can I not read that? 88.090 carats, doesn't really need to be carats. Grains, grams, ounces, 0.62 ounces. So I think we need at least an ounce of silver because we want more than enough. That gives me just a rough idea. Ounce, ounce and a half even. This is the graveyard of projects that didn't work. I'll bring you back when I get this melted. No point in watching me melt silver for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, full disclosure, this is probably take 6 of trying to get this to pour clear to the bottom of the form. And I think we finally got it. I had to make the sprue nearly the width of the ring or it just wouldn't pour even beyond halfway. Let's see. Oh yeah. We got a nice pour on that one, finally. Good deal. Put that in the water. I'm going to get the sand out of it. But be right back. All right, if you want a closer look at it, we finally got it down to the air holes. I had to do a Like I said, the sprue had to be the width or it just wouldn't drop into the form. So that's going to be kind of a pain to cut that off and clean that up. But the critical part is the face, and the face is clean and nice. Very little cleanup on it required. A little bit of a pit right there. But now we can solder a bezel on top of that, cut a stone to go in it, and have a ring for that finger. It's true that they shrink a little bit. This one right here. So, and when I clean it up, it'll probably grow a little bit. But anyway, that one right there slides on kind of easy. This one's, it's pretty close. Once it's cleaned up and polished, that'll probably be just about right. So I'm just gonna cut that off. Cut that off. I'll use the saw and cut that around as carefully as I can to minimize my cleanup and waste. It's all silver. Alright, so if you want to look at it, I cut the sprue off. I've cleaned it up mostly. I've done a semi-polish on it because it'll be easier to do it now than after I solder the bezel on. I've left this right here fairly rough because I want to solder a bezel on that and set a stone in it. There is a sterling silver sand-casted ring. We'll solder the bezel on it, cut a stone for it, and it will be done. That's kind of in prep to where I can start sand casting rings for specific stones. This one I'm actually going to set a bezel and then cut a stone for the bezel. Alright, so here we have the bezel soldered on. Went really good. Now we will cut a stone to fit that, polish it, and it will be done. Alright, here we are. My first cast silver ring. It's hard to polish it and not get fingerprints all over it immediately because it's got big flat surfaces. I am very happy with it. I used a piece of Fox natural turquoise in it. It is perfect fit there. What do you think? I kind of like the stone for the ring. That way it uses up the full face, but anyway, I think that was a fun project. We'll be doing more like that. Thanks for watching.